Hello Year 10, welcome back to Computer Science, and in this series of lessons we're going to be looking at some text-based programming, and we're moving from blocky microbit into text-based Python. So to begin, look, what are you going to learn? So we're going to look at this simple lesson a little bit about inputting and outputting in a programming languages and something called variables or memory locations. But before, you got to think, why are we studying Python? Python is a very versatile, easy to learn, popular programming language at the moment. You can see it's used from everything from NASA to YouTube to Dropbox to back-end scripting in Google. It's in demand at the moment, and lots of industries are using it, and they want people skilled in how to use it because of its versatility and how quick it is to get applications up and running. So we're going to be, because we're working at home, we're going to be using an online editor called Replit. So I'm going to ask you to follow the instructions on the screen. You can hit pause and open up Replit and sign in with your C2K credentials. So when I get to Replit, it's asking me to log in. I've already logged in with C2K, so I can just click my Google and it will take me straight in. You'll be asked to put in your C2K username and credentials. And the first thing I'm going to do is to create my first Replit, and we're programming in Python. And although this will take 3 random words and give you a name, we're going to give it a sensible name. I'm going to call it Year 10 Lesson 1, and I hit enter or create the Replit. And we're back to our lesson. This PowerPoint is available in your class OneNote, so you can go through it, or you can watch the video and you can pause. So traditionally the first thing we learn is output, or a print statement in programming languages. So I can type directly into the main here, and I'm going to use the keyword print, the print function, and I'm passing in a piece of text or a string. And I'm going to say hello world, and I hit run, and we see it output on the console, and that is the computer introducing itself even with a spelling mistake. But that is the hello world program, and it asks you to experiment with some different text. I suggest, to get used to it, copy and paste the print statement, change some of the text. For example, I could correct that one, I could paste it again, and I'll change this to my name is Connor. I run it, and it prints 3 statements on 3 separate lines, and we can move on to the next part of the lesson, which is just looking at some additional, we're going to look at some errors. What happens when we make a mistake? It's a fancy word in programming called syntax, and it means grammar. Let's throw a syntax error. I'm going to get rid of that speech mark, and I'm going to hit run, and it says, whoa, syntax, you've a grammar error, and then an explanation. In this case it's an end of line error. It didn't know where my line ended because I'd removed the string. Run, and it can fix it. Oh, sorry, I've put in 2. Fix that, run it, and we're back on. Let's change the name of the function from print to pint. Run it. There's an error. So you get the idea. This is the idea of syntax errors and how to troubleshoot and how to fix the errors. So next is looking at some other print functions. The first one I want you to experiment with is the new line clause. By default, Python prints with a new line. So if I put in my second statement here, you can see when I run that, they're printed in new lines. But we can also add in the new line clause. If I wanted some space, I can put in escape clause, or \n, \n. There will now be 3 lines between those pieces of text. So that's the first function I want you to experiment. And next is the end keyword, or the end parameter. Instead of printing a new line, I'm going to change this, and I'm going to put in comma end equals, and I'm taking a string and I'm just hitting the space bar to put in a space, and when I run it, everything will be printed in the same line, because I've removed the default. I don't want it to print on a new line. I'm getting it to print the space. So we'll go back to the original, 2 lines, change the end to a space, and it prints in that. So we move on quickly to variables. This idea, we can use memory locations in computer science to store data, and then we can output it, or we can change it. It can vary. There's some rules about the names. As long as you've got a sensible name, but I mean that, no spaces, no characters, don't start it with a number. So I'm going to start. It asks you to take a new script. Somewhere in here it asks you to take a new script. So I'm going to go to my menu, new replet, choose Python again, and this is going to be Year 10, Lesson 1, Part 2, hit enter, and I'm going to begin with an output statement. You have it on screen. An output, then we've got a variable, so print what is your name, question mark, and then I'm going to declare a variable. I'm just taking a space to try and make this easier to read. Call my variable first name, then we use the assignment operator. Maths you call it equals, but what it means, computer science means I'm going to assign into something, a variable, a number, a piece of text, but in this case it's going to be an input statement, and we open and close our brackets. So I'm assigning an input statement into this memory location, so whatever a user inputs, it's going to be stored in first name, and then I'm going to use an output statement or my print, and I'll say hello, then comma, and then the variable, and I click run. And if you have any syntax errors, you should be able to troubleshoot them, but my name is Connor, and hello, output Connor. I'm going to go in and change this and show that I can add in more parameters. After first name I'm going to go comma and add in some more text. Nice to meet you. Now you'll see that there's no space here, but look what happens. What is your name? Connor, nice to meet you. Hello Connor, nice to meet you. Sorry, yes, I had it added in a space. So that is our variables. Now we're moving on to your task. Sorry, before we do that, comments. Programmers read more than we write code, so we should always comment, make it easy. So we just use the hashtag and write in English an explanation of what's happening. Simple program showing input and output. And that is comments. Now we're on to your task, and this is what your teachers expect you to do. You're going to develop that program so it will use another three variables to ask the user about their favorite film, their favorite band, their favorite food, and it's going to output a statement like you see on screen. Hello, their name, etc. So you will be developing this program. I'll give you a hint. So for example, imagine I wanted to ask them their second name or their surname. I create a variable, second name, and I'm going to use the assignment operator, and I'm going to use the input statement, and this time I'm going to type in, I can pass in a string to this, what is your surname, question mark, and then hello, first name, and then I'll print comma surname comma nice to meet you. So I run this. Connor, what is your surname? Grimes. Oh, what have I made? What have I spelled wrong? My variable name. Surname, no, I call that second name. And there we go. So you can use a print statement, or you can pass the text in the input statement. Again, this is a good point to pause the video and familiarize yourself with the use of variables in input and output, and then you're going to do your task. When you complete your task, you're going to share it and submit it, and that can be achieved by doing this. Hit the share button, hit the copy button, going into Teams and pasting that or attaching that as a link as part of the assignment. So that, folks, is your first lesson. Any problems, make sure you post to the team and your classmates so your teacher can help. Good luck.